It's rollapitch, the show where we and a special guest have just 30 minutes to come up with the best new show you've never seen before.
And every time the bell rings, we have to roll a dice for new ideas that can make or break our show.
Hi, I'm Andrew and I'm a writer.
Hi, I'm Patricia and I'm a storyboard artist.
And let's meet today's special guest. He was a producer and director on the original Blue's Clues. He was the supervising director on the Backyardigans, and now he's the creative producer on the new Barney's World. It's Dave.
Yay. Hello. Good to see you guys.
Yeah, great to see you. Full disclosure, this is our second time recording with Dave. He was our first guest. He was a what would we call it? A lemming or
guinea pig, maybe?
Guinea pig. That makes a lot more sense. We were trying out our first format. We decided to make a few tweaks, but we wanted to give Dave and the cool show that we were coming up with the room to breathe that it needed. So we're very likely going to link the original episode that we recorded with Dave way back when, and in the description of this one whenever this one comes out. But we wanted to get back on with Dave and really figure out this show so that we could go out and sell it tomorrow. That's the plan.
Let's make a show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks again for coming back.
Yeah, my pleasure. It was fun the first time. Sure it'll be fun this time too.
So, Dave, since I know you're a part of the process from the beginning to the end, pretty much, so I was wondering, do you have a favorite part of the process that you look forward to the most, and why?
I really love animatics because I feel like an animatic is, not everybody will agree with this. This is just my opinion. And the animatic process is really the kickoff from the writing process to the image process in a cartoon, right? So it's really a handoff from the writing experts to the image experts, right? And it's really fun to go through the storyboard process and see, the great directors and board artists you have on the show kind of take the written word and plus it and have fun with it, right? And that's a really fun process. But then when we get to the animatic, I feel like you get the most bang for your buck in terms of your creative choices, right? You could just be cutting it, trying stuff. You can go, hey, can you give me a slightly different pose on this? And the board artist can just throw you a new drawing and you can cut it in. You usually have all the voices. You have temp music, temp sound effects, and it kind of already starts to feel like a show.
Right.
And I really love going in there, and I remember on the shows I've done, just taking a whole section of the show and moving it after another section because it just felt like maybe that would make, maybe the building blocks of the story would make more sense, right, that way. And sometimes you don't know that stuff until you're watching the visual interpretation of the written word, through that board process. So I love that part of it, and it's so immediate, and from the beginning to the end of the animatic process, you really kind of polished it to a point where, when you send it off to the animation team, that's the show we're going to make. If it feels like that animatic, it should just feel better than that, right? It should feel a little more alive and with all the color and the score and all that stuff. It just gets plussed after that.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Oh, go ahead, Andrew.
Oh my god. It's a fun sandbox you get to play in. You get to, like you said, you get to change things around. You have the time, it's built into the schedule and to play around in that space, and that's really fun.
Yeah, and if you try it and you hate it, you just put it back. You haven't lost anything, right? So you can really be experimental with the storytelling a little bit to say, what if we, that joke isn't quite landing? What if we add more time there? What if we add a glance or a blink, or something, and kind of get that timing down? The way we did shows at Nickelodeon, and probably the way they do them in a lot of places, is you're really sending a blueprint to a outsourced company to follow for the animation, right? So if a joke's not landing in the animatic, it's not going to land in the animation, right? And you can't add time necessarily, or it's like you're kind of locked in. So it's really got to work at that stage. And if you feel good about it at that stage, then I feel confident shipping it, and using that as kind of the guiding light for the rest of the process, right? If it doesn't feel as funny as it did in the animatic, let's go back to the animatic and see what it was doing right you know.
Right. So that's animatic comes after writing, right? Once we get the audio. When you and I were working on Shimmer and Shine, I was a script coordinator and writer, and you were exec producer. I remember, were always in the room for when we were going from premise to outline. So it was a writer's room, but you were there always at the whiteboard, and we're just listening to everything that all the writers were saying. We're pitching around ideas, and you were writing down, just kind of blocking out the story. And it was amazing to see what you were hearing, what you were putting down. You were drawing sketches so that we could visually, because none of us writers are artists, we don't know how to draw. So visually see, like, okay, what are you envisioning? Because you will be directing or talking to the directors. So how do you, that's another hat that you wear. How do you go from being so good in a writer's room to then being so good working with the storyboard artists and directors?
Yeah, well, thank you for being so nice about that. I don't know that everybody would agree with you, but I'm not a writer, but I understand the structure of the story enough to know that, okay, the writer has built a cool story here, and they've taken the character on a little bit of a journey, and they need a fail, right? They need a failure for the character so that they can overcome it. And then, understanding the function of that scene that we're talking about, I feel like I can help craft a moment that I know is not going to trip us up technologically or pipeline-wise down the line, right? So it can work within the technical parameters of the show, but still serve the story, right? So it's like, if the writer writes, well, a stampede of 1,000 horses run through the frame, I can go, well, wait, maybe we could find a more animation-friendly failure there, knowing that what its purpose is, right? So, I mean, I have so much respect for writers, because I'm terrified by the blank page, but being in a room, bouncing ideas off people and going, oh yeah, what if he jumps from this ship to this ship and uses this rope, and kind of like talking about little moments like that and doing little doodles is like a fun collaborative process, right? And I am thinking like a director, and maybe too much, so I feel like some productions and some people like to really compartmentalize those processes more, but I like to think about it, especially the way we were making shows. You don't get a ton of resources, you don't get a ton of time, and so I want to fit everything to the pipeline so we're not fighting with our technology down the line, right? And everybody gets to tell the story they want to tell. So those early meetings are really fun for me to say, oh, we can achieve this cool thing that you just made up, right? Thinking of it visually, right? Because I just have this ability to just immediately picture it, and then hopefully try to translate it to the other people in the room so they get it too,
Yeah. I think it worked out.
Is that part of the process? Is that something that like you learned, like, oh, this works, or was it something that like it took you a while to figure out, like, oh, maybe this would help the process?
I feel like it helps. But again, not everybody, wants to work that way. So I've worked on shows where I was not part of the writing process in that way. Okay. I've worked on shows where I was in the room, but we weren't using a whiteboard. We were just, talking through things. I'm way more comfortable doing something, as we're thinking and talking through ideas, right? So that's my preferred way to do it. And if I could do it that way all the time, I would. And I think it kind of evolved as a process, throughout that show, Andrew, it definitely changed over the course of the show. I think I was a little more involved and a little less involved depending on, different writers in the room and different head writers that were on the show. And, I think it's our job as creatives to be flexible, but I think the understanding of the process and understanding of the goal of that step of the process is really, it allows me to serve the greater good, as much or as little as people need me to, so that when we do that handoff from the, the writing side to the animation side, it goes as smoothly as possible.
Yeah. I'm looking at the time now, and
Was that it? That's
and that's it. We're done. And let's hang up. I always have a blast talking with you, and I could talk with you forever. And maybe we'll make another show where we actually talk. to people. But instead, this is the time where we have to move on and make a show in 30 minutes. The best show that nobody has ever seen yet.
This is easy.
And
animation's easy. We'll just make a great show.
And we will say that this one we are coming in with a few ideas from last time. It is I would like to keep those ideas that we were coming up with, but we didn't have enough time to like let it breathe and live. It was a ghost, a skeleton, and a goblin who are afraid of humans.
That's silly.
And
I like
we
that.
came up with we had a few ideas that kind of got attached to that, but nothing that I honestly remember. It's been a little bit since we recorded, so I'm happy to start there and try to see where it goes. So yeah, from what I can remember, they were kids, they were in the human world, but we can decide on that. I don't think we really had a full understanding. And they were afraid of humans, to kind of flip it on its head. And you really like the idea of... Now I'm forgetting.
The unknown.
Yeah,
The unknown?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so trying to flip it on its head for preschoolers, right? And let them have experience all of what's fun about being scared.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
It's like there's something behind the door and we don't know what it is. I hear a sound over there. Should we go see, what that was? Like going into, if your house when you were a kid had a basement, that was always like, that's when you're a little kid going into the basement is like kind of a scary place to be. You know what I mean? It's like, so how do we capture, create characters who, as kids are watching, they identify with them. Like, oh, I've been in a situation like that, right? And I think kind of tipping it on its head a little bit and making the monsters or whatever afraid of kids is kind of like a silly twist on it, right?
Right.
I think one of my questions was, so is this show gonna have like a song in every episode? Is it gonna have singing every other episode, or like how? Well, so for sure it's like preschool, right?
Yeah, if we're making a preschool show, I mean that's kind of the MO, right? Like it's very music forward, and I think Sesame Street really laid that foundation back in the day. Can you guys think of a preschool show that doesn't use music in some like impactful way? I mean, I think they all kind of do, right?
And music is just a big part of people's lives, but especially kids. Like it's easier to memorize lyrics or nursery rhymes. It's fun to dance to, and it gets you moving.
Right.
It can set energy because kids it might be easier for them to kind of understand a mood if they're listening to a sad song or a happy song. They kind of get mood or emotions easier.
Yeah. Do you find in a world where people are really leaning on shows to be internationally, be able to work in international markets? Like, do you feel like music could inhibit that, or does it help?
That's a good question.
I feel like it doesn't inhibit it if it's like super catchy for like a kid. I think like kids, they don't care if they don't understand it. I think like if they just like it, they're gonna like it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't know.
I think in terms of setting mood, it's so powerful. So I would always I would feel like I would lean towards it, but I'm starting to hear that ditties are better than actual full songs, for the reason of like they work better internationally, because not all genres of music work everywhere, and if a kid doesn't like that particular genre, then they check out. It's interesting. I mean, the Backyardigans was, we did forms of music that, like balalaika orchestra and polka. I mean, no 5-year-old is dying to listen to polka, but we made it work because it was so silly and fun, So I would say.
You said ditties, music. Like shorter songs too.
Yeah, like a ditty would be, you know, a little short phrase, musical phrase that you could repeat. Like if you're trying to keep, like, you know, for this, maybe we give kids like a little practical toolbox for like, you know, what to do if you're scared of something, and maybe there's a little musical ditty that they sing, like.
Yeah.
Like was it the shark? What is it, shark?
Baby
The shark?
Shark?
Yeah, baby shark. Like they're it's just repeating.
Yeah.
Great. Like there's some lyrics, but most of it is like that
Right.
tune that kids could just sing to, I guess.
I do, and with the social media, kids watch shorter and shorter stuff, so the more you can fit like a little ditty into a little song and dance online, kids will probably more easily access it. I get that. As much as I don't necessarily like it, I get it.
How long are these episodes, do you think?
That's a good question. If we're diving into like the more, I'm gonna say something that's not true. I was gonna say if we're diving into the more like emotional stuff, especially like, sorry, there's a trash truck going by my house, so it's very loud. More when, like, if we're dealing with kids dealing with emotions, I would almost lean towards trying a 22.
Oh yeah.
But then again, Bluey is Bluey 7, and those episodes are done so well and so poignantly that they're like making adults cry. So I don't know what I'm talking about.
I mean, I think to your point that you know, viewing habits are changing to the point where shorter content is kind of king now. You know, I think there's very few shows that go 22. Mostly it's 11s now, or 7s. I think people are more interested in maybe for that reason. But I think, you know, I don't think it's a rule, right? So I feel like if we want to say, you know, we want to do 11s because we want to dig in a little bit to the, you know, the emotions of the kids.
Yeah. Like some shows are very structured. It's going to have the same intro, the same, like, here's the problem we're laying out for the kids. And some shows are far more kind of just, well, if we want to deal with this emotion, that structure doesn't work. We're going to make our own structure around it. Which I like that. I like both. I like working in both worlds.
Yeah, if you feel like if I feel like if the buyer is really sure that repeated structures are better for their audience, we could probably find a structure that works for them repeatedly, right? But if you want more leeway to write stories that deviate from that structure, then I say that's the pitch, right?
We have network notes that just came in.
Okay.
So I'm going to roll the dice on those. We got 20 network notes that we can choose from. It's a nice network. They let us choose the notes.
Oh,
but
that's
we have
fun.
to do it at random. So it's a little dangerous. Here we go. I just rolled a 9, which is we need to add a comedic relief silent sidekick character. Silent, silly, and I added stupid, which I don't really. That's a harsh word, but
that's the
like,
S word. We don't use that word.
Yeah, no. Kind of like the Minions, or is it Steve from Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs? Like a character like that is there for kids to enjoy and just to be kind of visually silly.
I love that. All right, well, so you know, the Addams Family had Thing, right? Or no, Thing, the hand, right?
It or Thing's the hand, yeah.
Yeah, so what other iconic, spooky characters, you know, like a floating eyeball, or, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
Like what can we lean into?
Bats are cute.
Bats are cute.
A cauldron. Oh, a snail-shaped, like an upside-down cauldron with just a bubbling, like, finger thing coming out of it, just like
Oh, that's cool.
a little nasty sludge monster who's cute.
I love that.
It's kind of. I thought you were just saying a snail. I was like, oh, I like that too.
It looks like a finger.
Ooh, I like
That's
that.
weird.
Let's see. Should we be the first episode to name our characters? Will that help us connect with them at all?
Well, that's interesting. Is that how you usually do it when you're writing something, when you're creating something? Do you have a name early, or do you find it later?
I tend to have to, if it's like a main character, I have to give them something. I have to have something to latch on, and for me, that's a name. And that naming process can either be really quick or it can take a lot of time.
Yeah.
It's like naming a kid. It's like, why is this so hard? It needs to be perfect.
Yeah. I mean, it's also for main characters you run into what's already been used, right? I remember on Wally Kazam, he was Monty when
That's right.
that pitch happened, right? And we went through a lot of names to get to one. It's good to sketch something in for sure. All right, so what do you think? Do we want to go punny?
That's was my first thought, like going from Skelly and then going backwards to like, is close enough to skeleton? Is that too far away?
Oh, that's fun. Skip. I like the Skip Skeleton. That's fun. Like the alliteration of that is fun.
Oh yeah. Yeah, his last name's Skeleton. Gary Ghost.
Yeah, I'm terrible at coming up with names.
Names. My favorite was on Shimmer and Shine. We all came up with Nazboo, Razboo, Kazboo, and then just to make it fun, Frank is the fourth
That's
one.
right.
Ugh.
Frank was such he was such an oddball.
Maybe that's our little sludge character. Funny guy.
Frank, yeah.
So we have a show. We got 3 characters. They're afraid of human kids. My next question then, to like come up with episode ideas, is what kind of situations are we putting them in where they have to like confront these fears or kind of process this world around them? Do they?
Well,
Like my first weird thought is they want to go and play at the playground, but it's only open during the day, which for them is the opposite of a good time.
right, it'd be like a little kid going to the playground in the middle of the night.
Right. Yeah, they're like, oh my God, I can
Yeah.
see everything. It's terrifying.
Yeah, I think if we can put them in as many what they think of as normal situations, right? So, do ghosts go to the ghost dentist? Let's get them to the ghost dentist, right? And then then they hear a sound in the ghost dentist office that leads them down a hall, and there's a thing over there, and they realize the ghost dentist is attached to, like, I don't know, a real kid dentist office or something, right? So we have to put them in the world doing normal things so that kids have the feeling of normalcy that we can return to, but then we throw in like some little mystery that they have to face their fears to investigate, right?
I like that. Yeah.
So would the antagonist be like humans then, I guess? Or just like fear itself?
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, I feel like they discover humans are in the world and they're afraid of them, right? Until they learn more about them and understand them. It's kind of what I was thinking, because then you could really they're really scared and they really have to face what that thing is, right? What is that awful smell? Like, and they go in there and it's like, it's a bakery. Oh, I see. They make, whatever. It's like some normal thing that they've never seen before. So I don't know that the humans are trying to scare them. I feel like the humans are just being humans, doing human things, right? Their dogs are barking in the background or whatever. And the ghost kids don't get it.
I like that because that also, like, kids do have a fear of the dentist. So if anything, this could also work double duty as kind of exposing them to it and then making light of, like, yeah, this stuff is kind of scary. And also, isn't it funny that this ghost thinks that, like, brushing his teeth is terrifying. Like, oh my God, what are they doing? That's disgusting.
Right. Yeah, I want to answer the question, what are ghosts afraid of?
Yeah.
For kids when they, so they can empathetically take the other perspective. Like,
especially, the world is scary for kids. My alarm is going to go off that we have to roll the dice again. But,
okay.
Like, okay, there it goes. I'll stop that. Real quick, I have a niece who's been going through potty training, or she's got it now, but, like, just that process, it's so new, and, like, yeah, that's scary. It's brand new for a kid. So anything, like, like, looking at a public bathroom being like, what is going on in there? No, I don't want to have anything to do with that, because that's what a kid would feel.
Yeah, it's also new, right? So I think you're, to introduce new things that these characters have never experienced before, and watch them be afraid of it because it's new, and then warm up to it is like a fun, process to watch.
Yeah. All right, the network notes just came in again. I'm gonna roll these bad boys. And we got a 3, which is to age it up. Unfortunately, they thought it was a little too young, and we get to decide what up means.
More puns. No.
Yeah. That is, especially for preschool shows that I've seen, dad puns or dad jokes. That's the way to make it.
I think that's something that Bluey really. I mean, Bluey is such a family viewing show that I feel like in part because it really sees parents, and and I think they are getting as much out of it because they feel seen by honestly talking about the challenges of parenting, right? And so knowing that your audience is co-viewing in that way, that's a great reason to throw in some jokes for for guardians and parents.
Yeah. I think, it helps connect the kids with the parents too. We're not shunning parents away. Some shows are just so young that parents aren't necessarily going to enjoy it. And then it helps, I think Bluey helps not just have the parents be seen, but helps parents see their kids. I think it's easy for adults to be like, why are you afraid of the dentist? As opposed to, like, yeah, that is terrifying.
Yeah, right. Being that empathetic kind of wing person to be like, oh yeah, I'm scared of stuff too. Not the same stuff you are, but I know what you mean.
Yeah. I like that empathetic wing person. What are our 3? So we've got 3 characters. We decided that last time. When we've got 3, it's easy to fall into tropes, but I'm wondering, what are our characteristics? Who are our 3 guys? Oh, I really like that short goblin. Dave, is that your drawing in blue?
Yeah.
That's adorable.
Just gave him a unibrow, I'm not sure why. Yeah. Okay. So let's have one. Are you a fan of kind of super friendsing it a little bit, like give each character a strength and a weakness that they could play off each other?
Yeah, I'm not opposed to that. It helps kind of create storylines. Like you can lean on, okay, what are the two that we're putting like butting heads, or
Yeah.
which one are we're focusing on when we put them into this situation. I like kind of going strong and then making it broader, or finding a way to kind of make it more human or realistic afterwards.
Uh huh.
Let's see, that skeleton looks like a little go-getter, like a active sports.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I feel like if we have one that pulls the team forward, right, is like wants to engage, is a little more like let's go see, right. That gives us the ability to lean on that character for drive when we need it, right?
Right. He could be the fun form of anxiety. Like
Right.
sometimes getting stressed or anxious is fun if it leads you to something, or you wanna you fulfill that, feed that need.
Right. And having a character who is active in that way, just is a tool in our toolbox, right? And then, let's have one so that maybe our little goblin is a pull character, right? Like, doesn't really want to engage, right? But they'll have to have a strength that adds to the team too, right? So
Right.
is the most empathetic of the group, right? Is there like is always there to comfort a friend, and like once you learn about whoever they're encountering, it's like can see things from their perspective or something, right? But their initial reaction is to like I don't know, right? So then you can create a little friction between.
Right, the skeleton could immediately run in and be like, "This is terrifying," and the goblin sits back and is like, "Yes, and it's just a dentist's office at the end of the day."
Right, it's a dentist's office like ours. Wait, people have teeth?
Yeah, God. Why would they have the bones on the outside? Wait, that's me. And then
Yeah, so it was our ghost character.
Ghost. The other two are constricted by their physical realms, whereas the ghost is he able to transpose through walls, or
Can go
kinda
through
exist
things.
in different planes.
Can disappear and reappear.
Right, maybe he's less. I mean, both the skeleton and goblin are using fear in a different way. Maybe the ghost is a little bit less afraid because he's not going to be touched by things. He can just get out of situations when he wants to.
Is that like too invincible feely though?
Yeah, what's his weakness?
Right. Vacuums.
Oh. Yeah, because
He can't actually. But what if the ghost? I don't know if this is a good idea. Can't actually move anything physically in the world. Like needs
He
his
needs
friends
yeah.
to open a door. Like if they want to open a door, he can pass through the door, but he can't open it for anybody, right? So he has this. He can be a little recon guy, but he can't. There's
like-
certain things he just can't do.
he's literally just a spirit.
Yeah.
That is nice because then in relying on his friends, if his friends get hurt, then he's kind of stuck, and that is like a lonely feeling that he's afraid of. That goes pretty deep.
Oh yeah. Yeah. What if his thing is that he never wants to be alone?
Yeah.
Which is why ghosts haunt things. They just are afraid of being alone. So
He needs a backstory.
exactly. I know. It's. I was pitching something to years ago with a kid and his best friend was a ghost, I kept running into this problem of like, I gotta talk about how this kid died. Like, I don't want to do that, you know. Like,
It
I
was
just want to
the
wave my
most
hand and be like,
fun
she's just a fun
camping trip.
ghost.
Oh no.
Right.
My alarm just went off, which means I gotta roll the dice one more time, and we're gonna see if these notes will help our show or throw
Oh,
it off
okay.
completely.
This is so exciting. I love this. This is how we should always make shows.
Right? I rolled a 4. Oh, talking about short form stuff, we now need a TikTok presence plan.
I love it.
I've never been on TikTok, so I don't know like the limits of time on TikTok.
Yeah. What's really interesting is I feel like on Instagram and TikTok you can have videos of a minute, you know, so you can do a whole character. You can do an introduction to each character as a little talking to the camera thing, almost like a influencer. Like, hi, I'm Skip. You know, like I like this and that, and you know, I'm afraid of this. Are you ever afraid of anything? You know, like just almost like create little influencer accounts for them.
I like that. What if they I think there should be a story involved where they find a phone that somebody left behind, and it's like human technology that they're terrified of. But then they
that's
also are
hilarious.
like, wait a second, this is kind of fun.
So like the screen is black and then it turns on. It's their three faces going like, wait, I think I did something. You know, like they're trying to figure it out.
What's that giant red button? Ah!
So like they died like 200 years ago or something.
Yeah, right. They don't know what phones are for sure.
That's fun.
I mean, really, if we're doing they're fish out of water a little bit, and everything new is frightening to them. It's kind of the perfect idea to have them from a time past when this stuff didn't exist, right? The theme song will give you the origin story of how they died.
Wait, so now my question is like, so do they have like families to go home to, or do at the beginning of the show, do we find them like they're just like somehow ended up at the same place together and they're trying to just get through this like new thing?
Can we put them in like a old rundown haunted apartment building, and all their families live in the apartments or something?
Mm-hmm.
That's
Like
fun.
it's like spooky Sesame Street, where it's like having the. I think kids today want to see family units,
Yeah.
which is something that I don't know that was true 20 years ago, but what I've heard is that having the parents there and not just in the background but interacting. So let's give them strong parental figures too. Like let's give them diverse family structures and use the parents as a way to help the kids process the stuff that they're learning, right? Let's make it as authentic a human experience as you can, right? And then
Yeah.
then we get to play all the jokes of like, what does a ghost mom make for her ghost kid for lunch, right? Or what, I don't know, like
It's like
it's like
the goblin's parents are like 2 werewolves or something.
yeah. Right. Yeah. The ghost. She's like making ectoplasm sandwiches and like
Human-shaped chicken nuggets.
That's right. Right. Terrifying.
Yeah. I like that a lot. We are about running out of time. If we want to try to wrap this up in 1 minute, unfortunately. Usually we try to wrap up by naming our creation.
I've just named the goblin Farley.
Oh, I love it.
He looks like a Farley. No, we just need a ghost named Patricia.
Oh my gosh.
Goes.
How about just Gus?
Oh, that's very sweet.
Gus. Oh, yeah.
Let's see. What are some show names for Fear? Fear Street. I think that's something already.
Yeah. What do we? Okay, so how do we want it to feel? Do we want? Do a. Hmm.
You can name it after like the apartment complex that they live in.
Oh yeah.
Whatever that might be.
Scared silly. What's like?
Oh, that's fun. Scared silly is a great name. I think scared silly is really cute.
That could be. Hopefully, it's not something already, but we'll.
Well, we'll have the lawyers worry about that. We're creatives. We don't have to deal with that. Do you guys like that or no? I mean, I think it kind of captures what both sides of the coin, right? We want to do those little frightening moments, but then we want them to laugh.
Yeah. I think that's a good starting point. For now, I think that works, and then we'll make a deal. We'll take the money, and then they can pay us to make it a better name.
I love it.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Just the finger cauldron is so creepy.
I love the headphones on the ghost. Those are headphones, right?
Yeah. It just reminded me of my niece. She's like a teenager now, and she's she's a very anxious person, but her headphones give her a lot of comfort out in the world.
Oh yeah.
So it's just
I love that.
Like a thing that's just like if they're so scared of the world, like they need these physical items or whatever to like keep them grounded, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well then let's retcon that. Gus can only move around the headphones, which even when he disappears, the headphones will be floating there in space.
Oh, I like that a lot.
That'd be cool. There's some backstory to the headphones that's connected to the ghost.
He's haunting those headphones.
So this was a blast. I really enjoyed the story that we came up with. It's always nice talking with you. I did want to give you a little spotlight. I know we did this last time, and we'll also show that video. But if you wanted to, where can we find your stuff? How can people get in touch? And what's coming out? What's exciting that's coming out?
Well, I'm pretty much exclusively on Instagram at by Dave Palmer. If you want to see, sometimes I put funny doodles up there, and people can reach out to me through that. Also, I'm on Blue Sky, but that's kind of new. So we'll see how that goes. What am I excited about? I'm excited for the rest of Barney's World to drop, and they just announced a special that's dropping at the end of January on YouTube. Nice. It's a 22-minute special that I think has some great songs and is really fun. So I hope people watch that. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited about this year. I feel like I'm out there pitching some stuff, and I feel like people want to make stuff again, and. Yeah, I'm really hopeful that more fun things get made.
Awesome.
Cool. I like that positivity.
Yeah, that's my 2025 resolution. I'm Mr. Positive this year. It's gonna happen. This is our year.
It better be.
Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate you coming on, and I'm sure we will talk again very soon.
Yeah, I hope so. That was really fun. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with like all the spooky characters. It's just something that isn't like there's not a lot of preschool stuff that's like spooky. So
I know it's a niche that we can fill.
Yeah, it's only like during Halloween that like kid-friendly spooky stuff comes out. So it'd be cool to just have it available other than Halloween.
Yeah. Right, and the Halloweening of other shows is kind of what I'm trying to I'd love to avoid, which is like it's just a family comedy, but everyone's kind of like a mummy or something. I want to to really have those frightening moments because those are exciting moments too, in a preschool safe way.
There's a reason they're spooky characters.
Yeah,
it's not just the visual. Ooh, that's fun.
Yeah, right. Right. All right. Good luck to us. I'll see you guys at the pitch meetings.
Thanks for watching. Have you gotten some funny network notes on your shows? Share them with us. Maybe we'll include them next time on Roll a Pitch.